Excuse me. Yeah, that's me. I'll admit it.
Hey, Jason, how are you? Dan, how are you? Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'll start off. As far as the injuries from the game, there's no changes or updates from what I told you last night. We'll be working on all those guys today as we go. With Andy, the next 2 days are going to tell us a lot with where he's at. So we'll have to, we'll keep an eye on that, and then we'll update you on Wednesday as to his status. And I think it'll be important for us here these next 24, 48 hours to get a good feel of where he is. From the game after watching the tape, one of the things that I felt after the game, and it was confirmed, was I think from the very first play of the game, you could feel the offensive line, the tight ends, the running back, the energy, the confidence in saying, you know what, we're going to start this game off the right way. And a couple of those touchdown runs that we had, when you watch the tape, you can really see the finish. That's what I love about. That's when you put that finish on tape. And you see how excited the guys are after they score, the juice, the energy, the vibe. That's what I felt watching the tape last night and this morning offensively. And that was, there's some plays that we learned from in that game. But at the same point in time, I loved that part of it. I felt that, and that was important. Defensively, there was, I thought, in the red zone, we made those stops. Ogletree had some. He made a great play right before the tip. That he tipped the ball in the end zone, made a heck of a play there. Flying around, he was all over the place. That's I really felt him and Roquan in there, getting tackles and doing different things. But as a team on defense, getting those stops in the red zone was great. Getting those takeaways was great. And then special teams wise, you felt a little bit of that field position, like I said last night. So that's a good thing when you have those three phases that work together. And now what we got to do is be able to fix some of the things that we can get better at, which is, obviously playing these guys again, being a division opponent. We'll have that opportunity. But all in all, I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of our coaches and players for standing up. And after that was coming off that week was rough. Everybody wanted to bounce back from that, and I thought the players did a great job of responding.
Matt, Justin said yesterday that in a weird way he was kind of glad that the Cleveland thing happened. I'm curious, as you've kind of learned about him over the months and specifically last week, how do you describe his ability to kind of handle struggle and hardship?
Yeah, he's one of the better ones I've been around with that. For 22 years old, to have that is rare. And it started with us Monday morning after that game, is being able to have discussions on why things went the way they did. Both of us, me as a head coach, him as a quarterback, us as a team, talking through it and saying, okay, how do we fix it? And again, I think I told you this last week, but in the beginning of the week, I think it was Wednesday, we were out at practice and just talking about what did happen and how we're going to try to turn that into a positive. And sometimes it might not be a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It might be a year when you look back. Who knows when it is, but you look back and you say, you know what, that really – it pulled us together, and it helped us learn where we can get better. And again, like I said, for me, I learned a lot, not just about Justin, but our offense and everybody in general. And Justin was a part of that, and just that's going to be part of this process that he continues to grow with, And I thought yesterday him rebounding the way he did, standing in the pocket, making good throws. He had the one where we got the sack. But again, that's 2 times now that Justin's been playing quarterback where there's been a sack fumble. And out of nowhere, here he comes to get the ball. That's huge. That's a big play that happened. That was a negative play that turned into an okay play.
Coach, regardless of things you can point to that he corrected from the prior game.
I would say, really probably there's some decision making here or there throughout the game that you work with, whether it's your working with your feet and the timing of matching up your feet with when you throw the ball and that decision making. there was, and he had some good ones in that Cleveland game too, where he made some good progressions. There was an RPO where he did a good job in Cleveland. Yesterday, he was able to. I thought he saw, when I go back and watch the tape, I thought he saw the coverages pretty good. They were really holding their shell. So or their cover 3 or 1. So they were 2 high safeties and at the snap coming down. That's hard as a quarterback, no matter who you are, when you hold your shell that long. And so I thought he did a good job of understanding that post snap. And in Cleveland, it wasn't always like that every snap, but I felt like for all of us, like there was more of looking at the offense and looking at what was going on with the offensive players. And yesterday there was a lot of looking at what's going on with the defense. And that's a positive step right there for him.
Matt, can you explain clearly for us how you're gonna decide who's playing quarterback?
Yeah.
Solely on Dalton's health, or are you evaluating Fields' performance in light of the improvement from?
So when we work through this whole process, we got to see where Andy's at health-wise these next 2 days. That's important because, like we said this whole time, when Andy's healthy, right? When he's healthy, he's our starter. He's the 1, Justin's the 2, Nick's the 3. So what's been great about this, the last couple of weeks is Justin's had the opportunity to play and get significant snaps, and he's grown from it. So now we just got to see like where is Andy's health at. Honestly, the next 2 days will be revealing to us. And then once that happens and we get a feel for where he is, then we as coaches decide, okay, hey, where are we at right now? How do we feel he is percentage-wise, Andy, to be able to go into that game as the starter?
So if he's healthy, if he's good to go, then he'd be the starter.
Correct.
Okay.
Coach, regardless of who is actually calling the plays, how much importance do you place on your young quarterback saying that it's useful for him, at least at this early stage of his career, to have that calming influence of a coach in the booth as opposed to the high-energy environment on the sideline?
I think when we go through these type of scenarios, right, and you talk through with the quarterbacks, we're always meeting together, Flip, quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator, Bill Lazor, myself. We're always talking through the game plan. And then it's just the logistics and the procedure of how it goes. And when you're open the entire week and you talk about the plays that we all like, we do it together. And that's it's pretty simple. And the quarterbacks are awesome. They're great with it, and they get it.
Now, when you go for it on 4th and 1 at your own, 47?
Yeah.
Something like that. What's the thought process there? Is it that it's a yard? Does it go back to you wanting the ball and wanting to generate some momentum? And how quick was that decision made?
Both. And the decision was made quickly. And again, so 2 things. Number 1, when you get the ball, you want to be able to go down and score. Having to have to punt at midfield on 4th and 5, different story. 4th and 4, different story. 4th and 1, that's why we did what we did. I think it sent a message to our offense, the confidence we have in our offensive line and our running back, quarterback, wide receivers. Like everybody knew that was coming in, And so we talked about it as a staff. Hey, I don't know when it's going to be the first time. Is it going to be the first drive? Is it going to be the 10th drive? But we felt good with a couple plays, knowing what we were going to do in that situation. To get it just gives you a little bit more juice to get that drive going and maintaining it. So I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Matt, a lot of people put themselves in your shoes and say, I was intrigued enough by Justin Fields, what he did, to let him ride the wave against the Raiders. Why do you not feel that way?
Again, this has been our plan, and Justin's grown, so we got to see where Andy's at with his health and all that, and then we'll. I just appreciate and think that there's a lot of great things that he's done. There's a lot of things he can learn from, and Andy's also. I think it's also important to see that Andy's done a good job as well. It's unfortunate when he got hurt and moving the ball and the different things we were doing, but. Again, it's just I give credit to both of those quarterbacks because right now they're doing a great job.
Is there a level where Fields could kind of force your hand a little bit on that?
Well, I just think
Reaches another level?
Again, what we're focused on is just how he's played these last 2 games, and he grew from the first game to the second game. And you look at really this plan that we've talked about the whole time is what we've discussed with everybody. We've discussed it with the quarterbacks. They understand it. They both know, including Nick, that they all need to be great in practice when they get their opportunities in the game. And that's all they're doing, Justin's been phenomenal with understanding that. I think it's great that he's had an opportunity. Unfortunately, with Andy's health, that happened. But right now, when you look at where Justin was in Cleveland 2 weeks ago versus where he just came from this past week, he's done a really good job. Is there room for improvement? Of course. Absolutely, there's room for improvement. But I think his confidence is a heck of a lot better right now than it probably was a week ago. And that's a credit to Justin for handling it the right way.
With Justin getting on the field a little bit earlier and showing that growth week to week, have you learned anything about how he learns? Has that kind of changed maybe how you approach the development?
Sure, yeah. I've learned a lot. We all have as coaches, and Justin has too, because we talk through the things that we think he does well, the things that we think he can get better at. I mean, we were just up watching the game again as a staff this morning and just talking through some of the things that are subtle, they're little, but they matter. And so we'll get with those guys and we'll talk through and give the whys of how you can grow. And they're little things, but they're things that defenses will try to take advantage of. So that's as much as we can check those off as we go with Justin, he's going to keep developing. And I think the other thing that's really good for Justin too is just understanding that, it's not just showing up on Sunday and playing the game. There's a whole process to that Monday through Saturday, man. It's everything is to the hour and what you're doing from the time you wake up and what you do to the time you go to bed and how important sleep is. Distractions outside of the building, everything else that's going on. There's a lot to be a successful NFL quarterback. He's learned a lot in 2 weeks. And again, I think for us now, we feel really good with where we're at with this quarterback position, and that's important right now. And Justin needs to be given a lot of credit for the way that he handled yesterday.
On a 64-yarder to Mooney in the first quarter, what was your assessment of the timing, the ball placement, and it seemed like the vision on the safety was there as well?
It was awesome. So Justin, when he snapped the ball, they had a little adjustment where they came down, the safety came down strong. Justin took a beautiful drop, set his feet, one hitch throw. Mooney ran a great route. He kept it skinny. He didn't run back to that safety to the field, and Justin threw a perfect ball. And so, those are, we need to get more of those. You don't go on 12 and 13 play drives all the time. And so they worked on that in practice. And then to have it come to fruition in the game, that's a big play. It gets everybody going, and that's growth of a quarterback. And then the offensive line, the only way you can throw that ball is with protection. They protected him. He had a green grass pocket, threw it on time. He didn't hold on to it, and he threw it exactly where he was supposed to throw it. He was thinking just like Mooney. And then so that's a heck of a play.
With all you've talked about Darnell since the summer, how rewarding is it for him to now have a game that can?
It was great. Those guys. The one thing about our players on offense, and the first few weeks have been frustrating statistically, right? But at the same point in time, when you see those guys out there yesterday, regardless of any player's stats, what you felt was that they cared so much to win that game. They didn't care what their stats were. Now, he had a good stats game. He had a couple long plays. But the other part of this, too, with Mooney, you'll see it when you watch the tape. Go watch how much blocking he did yesterday. I mean, you want to tell me that that's not pretty special when the O lineman and the tight end and your quarterback and your coaches see you blocking like that? I mean, that's pretty real. So to have 5 catches, 125 yards, do what he did, a lot of people forget about the other stuff. He did that yesterday, and that he's growing. And so that wide receiver room, just all those guys continue to keep doing that.
I know you said you're.
Danny, what was the process like between when we talked to you Friday and then on Saturday night when you guys called?
Yeah, it was probably just more of clarity for us as we got closer to the game. That's what it was. It was clarity, and I think that made it really helped us out with that.
In terms of what he was feeling, in terms of what your medical staff was telling you, what was
Probably a little bit of both.
Matt, with David, obviously he's a huge part of your offense. He might even be the identity of your offense right now. I understand you're still waiting for more information, but are you confident that it's not season-ending?
Yeah, again, we'll know more with that, Adam, as we go here the next couple of days. But for us, you hope that, right? But once we know more, then that'll give us more clarity with that. And then, what you just said is with a lot of this offense going through him, I think you all feel it, you see it, his energy, his passion, the way he runs the football. what the other stuff that you guys can't always see is how he is in practice and how focused he is and how he runs that huddle at times. And I mean, you love that about him. So keep our fingers crossed and see where he's at. But I thought he played a really good game yesterday, and he knew going into it that we were going to be leaning on him and relying on him. So now we just got to see where it goes. But at the same point in time, in any sports world, right, it's the next man up mentality. And so if that's the case, then we'll get our guys ready, and that's our job as coaches, is to now be able to game plan around that.
Who would be your next man up, though? How's Damian?
Yeah, again, we'll know more with him, with Damian here on Wednesday, but he would be the guy. And I think you guys saw yesterday when
Play, though, is what I mean.
yeah, what's that?
If he could play, though.
Correct. If he can play, he would be the guy.
You have a sense of how serious he is?
I don't yet. But if he can, what's that?
Matt, I know that they're blocking well, but yesterday, again, the tight ends, 3 targets.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Graham had a hell of a block on one of those touchdown runs.
Yeah.
But why aren't the tight ends a bigger part of the receiving, the passing game at this
Well, the one thing is, so what in my opinion, what can happen is when you have X amount of plays in a game, some games you might have 40 rushing attempts, and of the 55 to 65 plays that you get, 40 rushing attempts or whatever that is, sometimes your numbers are going to be limited. There's other times, Hub, where you have plays called to target the tight ends, and they're not getting the shots. We have in this offense a lot of good playmakers on this offense, and so sometimes whether it's play design or whether it's just unlucky that they didn't get it, just so far this year there hasn't been a lot of targets. Now, at the same point in time, you just mentioned it. The tight ends yesterday, I thought, did a good job of really saying, you know what, we're gonna get after it in the run game a little bit, and we're gonna be a big part of that.
What I'm asking, I guess, specifically with Justin, though, is that part of the game? Is he not seeing all of his weapons, or?
No. It would. I think for like there could be a game. Who knows? Like depending on how they play, there could be a game where the tight ends get 12 targets, and there's more catches. But right now, it's kind of an ebb and flow type deal with them. And the tight ends are a huge part of this offense. They're very real, and I do think like with those guys too, like they understand that and they know in different parts of the field where we're gonna hit them more or less. But also too, like that was a little bit heavier of a running game yesterday. We had 17 attempts? So 17 attempts, and you got 5 receivers and 3 tight ends. That's 8. That's, there's not a lot of targets to go around in a game like that.
Matt, since David Montgomery probably missed some time, and Damian Williams will have to step up, Khalil Herbert will, of course, have to get some of those carries. How confident are you in the rookie to be able to handle this situation?
Yeah, I think that Khalil has shown to us from the very first day he got here, he's very mature, he's very focused, he's learned. I think Coach Petrie's done a great job of helping him learn the game. You know who else has done a great job is those backs in that room. They've insulated him the right way and taught him whether it's protections, scheme, how to watch tape. And so if it comes to that, we have a lot of confidence in Khalil. You see what he's doing on special teams with the kickoff returns. He does a great job for Tabes, and he's a bright young man, and I think he's got a bright future. So, again, it's one of those deals where, I can remember in the preseason several years ago when Spencer Ware tore his ACL against the Seahawks in preseason 3 or 4, and a running back by the name of Kareem Hunt stepped up and became pretty good. So you just never know where guys are and how they go. But if that's the case, we have confidence in them.
What was the explanation you got for the 15-yard penalty on the punt for the guy tackling? It seemed like
they said it was in their opinion what they saw, that it was illegal and that he hit him too soon. So those are. It's easy for all of us, and I'm a part of it down there too, right? You get emotional, you get into it. That's a big play, but it's easy for us to look at it on TV and see it in slow motion. Those referees have a tough time sometimes seeing that when it's bang bang like that. So that's the explanation they gave me. Thank you.